Coming up on Night Vision News, Wartburg students gather for an evening of collaboration at the annual Math Jams event.
Wartburg players bring a classic farce to life with a flea in her ear performance.
Wartburg softball sweeps St. Catherine's with strong wins in Tuesday's doubleheader.
Good morning and welcome to Night Vision News. I'm Josephine Lunescas-Broomhall.
And I'm Landon Jepson. Thanks for joining us today. Josie, you got to meet up with President Erickson last week to talk about a lot of financial decisions on campus.
Yes, I got to speak with her. She, and as we have seen a lot in our email inboxes, are these emails from President Erickson about how legislation and the Iowa tuition grant. So that was the focus of our interview. This is part one of a two-part series of interviews looking at recent legislation and what those changes might mean for students at Wartburg College. In recent months, a big concern in higher education has been the potential impacts of federal and state legislation. I spoke with Wartburg College President Dr. Rebecca Eritzman about her perspective on these concerns.
Right now, as we think about legislation in Iowa, what is my biggest concern and priority is protecting the Iowa tuition grant for every student at Wartburg College. We know that almost 30% of our students receive the grant, and we know that the current legislation, both in high demand, high need jobs, as well as in diversity, equity, and inclusion activities on our campus, that those are explicitly connected to the Iowa tuition grant. So as we're thinking about this legislation, my first and foremost priority is the funding of our students so that they continue to go to Wartburg College.
Wartburg is not alone in its efforts to protect the funding for its students. Wartburg College is part of an organization known as the Iowa Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, a group of private college presidents in the state of Iowa.
It's really amazing to have a group of college presidents and lobbyists that support and back us and help us to plan our response, but also to understand what's happening in the Iowa legislature and nationally, because we also belong to the National Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, and that's a national lobbying group. So higher education as a whole is what we think a lot about lobbying for and making sure that we preserve, because we believe that higher education changes your life. We believe that having an education will change our communities, our country, even our world.
Last year, public universities in Iowa worked through the state legislators' concerns about diversity, equity, and inclusion in public universities. This year, private colleges are learning from the experiences of public universities.
And so when we're thinking about kind of public versus private, we're looking at them because they have experienced all this in the last year, and we are communicating them, we are following their response, we are understanding from them how to continue to do what we do, which is support our students, which is to care for them and be concerned about them and recognize and celebrate their identities within the confines of the law.
It's not only leaders like President Eritzman that have an opportunity to make a difference in protecting the Iowa tuition grant. Students can also step up and make a difference by reaching out to their representatives and speaking about legislation.
When I think about teaching civil discourse, when I think about teaching democracy, when I think about teaching civic engagement, there's no better way than in real time. And what I've seen a huge response from our students is to writing letters to our state legislators, even our federal legislators, to support the reasons why funding of students' education in this country is incredibly important, and the value of the education for each of our students. And so we have seen the students step up and help in advocacy efforts, and I can't imagine a better educational experience than to be part of the process, to be doing something when we feel like what we value most is at risk.
While the legislation being considered may bring changes to private higher education in Iowa, President Eritzman affirms that Wartburg College will remain focused on protecting the futures of its students. In 2 weeks, we will continue this series speaking with Vice President of Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty, Dr. Deborah Johnson-Ross. Landon, have you registered for classes?
Yes, indeed I did. You count it: fall term, winter term, and May term with the Wartburg College European Tour next year. I can't wait for World Tour next year. Student registration is underway at Wartburg College, and there are important steps students should follow to ensure a smooth process. Caleb Kammerer has more on Wartburg registration.
class registration is underway as Wartburg students prepare for the next step in their college careers. But before that happens, there are some hurdles that need to be jumped over. The first step for students preparing to register is to check their advising worksheet, located under the Advising tab on my.wartburg.edu. After that, a recommendation from the head of registrar, Martina Clark, is to sit down with your academic advisor. These are good first steps, but there are still possible blocks to register.
Upperclassmen, second year, third year, fourth years, if they have not declared their major, then they will have a hold on their registration. So it's important. We had several students the last couple of days who've come in, third year and fourth year, mostly third year, who had to take care of that paperwork, and then they were able to do it.
Of course, that is not the only roadblock toward possible registration. Clark discussed holds related to the business department. If there is a balance on a student account, that must be remedied before registration happens. On the flip side, there are many other difficulties that students face when registering. Third-year environmental science student Hayden McCormick has crucial advice to avoid these problems.
Definitely make like a 2 to 4 year plan. I know some of the first-year seminars do this, but not all of them, from my understanding. I think that can be really helpful for students because it gives you an outline of the courses you could take.
So create that 4-year plan, but don't forget about prerequisites, as that will create a block for registration as well. Finally, some majors have courses that happen every other year or in certain semesters, so make sure to check with your advisor. Priority registration has closed, but registration is still open. Slots and classes go quickly, but wait lists are available. Reporting for Night Vision News, I'm Caleb Kammerer.
For more information on Wartburg College's registration process, including step-by-step instructions and important dates, visit the registrar's office website. Josie, going into this next weekend, looking at the weather, it's going to be a chilly one and warm one for us.
Oh yes, we're looking at high chances of precipitation. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Temperatures are warming up, but it's still quite chilly here in the Waverly area. Friday will be warm with a high of 80 degrees and a low of 51 under cloudy skies. Looking ahead to the weekend, Saturday brings a high of 56 and a low of 37, which is getting colder, with a 60% chance of rain. I'm not too excited for that. By Sunday, temperatures drop further with a high of 44 and a low of 27, along with the 53% chance of rain. As we head into next week, Monday will be partly cloudy with a high of 44 and a low of 29. Finally, Tuesday will be breezy and cloudy, a nice little mix, with a high of 47 and a low of 39. Landon, you just checked out a student event that featured math and appetizers. How was that?
It was fantastic. The pretzel bites, the mozzarella sticks, you name it. It was so good at Bremer Brewing Company last night. Fantastic. Math jams provided students in Waverly with a unique opportunity to gather monthly and engage in puzzles and games in a very relaxed setting. I explored this event to learn more about its impact on the campus.
If you're into puzzles, brain teasers, and most importantly, math Jams is hosted once a month here at the one and only Bremer Brewing Company by KMT President Beth Joel and advisor Dr. Mariah Bergen.
Math Jams is a part of a global community where people come together to challenge themselves with logic problems, clever games, and creative thinking. In Waverly, these gatherings happen on the second to last Monday of each month. Club advisor Dr. Mariah Bergen explains that it's a chance for students and community members to unwind and engage with math in a relaxed setting.
It allows students to be doing something which is not graded, it's not required, and it's in a much more relaxed atmosphere. You're talking to your friends. I have people who bring in their roommates who are music majors, they're social work majors, and they're just going to come, relax, have a good time, and play with math.
The Waverly event is one of 15 math jams in North America stretching from Winnipeg, Canada to New York City. What makes this gathering unique is the way it brings people together outside the classroom. President Beth Joel says meeting off campus helps build stronger connections.
It's something that we do off campus, which I think is really fun, a better way to build a math community because we're not just meeting on the third floor of the Science Center where we always see each other like in a classroom. It's helping us build a community outside of Wartburg, seeing each other outside of class, outside of the campus. So I think that's kind of what makes it special.
Whether you're a math enthusiast, or an average Joe, Math Jams has something important to anyone who loves math. Appetizers, math, and the love of games here at the one and only Bremer Brewing Company. Reporting for Night Vision News, I'm Landon Jepson. To join the next Math Jams gathering at Bremer Brewing Company, visit their online website for more.
After the break, we'll take a look at ETK's Casino Night and other on-campus events.
Discover more possibilities at Wartburg College. Carve your own path through rich, hands-on experiences. Our engaged faculty know you by name and go the extra mile. Choose an area of study that prepares you for what's next. Experience more at Wartburg College.
Discover more possibilities at Wartburg College. Explore your interests, pursue your passions, and gain the skills that lead to big opportunities. Carve your own path through rich, hands-on experiences inside and outside the classroom. Our engaged faculty know you by name and go the extra mile. Study abroad, complete internships, and make meaningful connections that will last a lifetime. Apply for free today with no essay or testing required. Experience more at Wartburg College.
Entertainment Tonight, also known as ETK, recently hosted Casino Night, an event that provided students with an opportunity to engage in casino-themed games and activities on campus.
Got it, Megan.
We spoke to ETK President Delaney Kaufman about how she feels this year's events went.
So this year we did some more events that students know, like our bingos and our welcome back to school concert. Those are usually events that get a lot of people to come out to them. But it was also really interesting because we decided to switch up a few events this year, and we decided to do some new ones. One new one in particular was just last week. It was Casino Night. And that one, I would say, was pretty successful, especially for being an event that we haven't really done on campus before, and no one has really heard of something like that.
As the ETK executive team looks forward to the end of the year, they are excited to present their annual Mayfest, an event at Coleman Park for student performers. For more information, follow at ETK_Wartburg on Instagram. As the academic year draws to a close, ETK continues to offer engaging events for the Wartburg community.
There's so many events. You've seen them hiding the ducks around campus this week in blackjack and poker. Some of the best games out there.
Yep.
Fantastic. Moving on, last week, Wartburg College's Alliance organization hosted Gala Week, a series of events celebrated by the LGBTQ+ community. Allison Hasner has more on these campus activities.
Greetings. I'm standing outside of Newman Auditorium where the last event of Gala Week will be held. A week full of activities and engagement for everyone on campus to enjoy.
This week, from March 17th to March 22nd, Alliance, a student-run organization based on LGBTQ awareness, has begun Gala Week. Senior Lennon Shriver, the co-president of Alliance, takes incredible value in providing a space where everyone can feel safe, which has been amplified through these events.
And we basically have kind of like a pride celebration. We try to, we dedicate a week to celebrating the queer community, bringing awareness to queer issues, and of course capping it all off with our drag show. But yeah, the week is really just to have fun and be educational like any kind of pride celebration.
The week began on Monday with a movie night in Alliance headquarters on campus, followed by a collaboration with Vogel Library on Tuesday, informing audiences about queer inclusive literature. Next, Alliance hosted an opportunity to write to your legislator, and will conclude with an 18+ drag show in Newman Auditorium. Shelby Channel, Alliance's activities coordinator, has focused on building connections with students at Wartburg.
I believe that the element that's most vital to the Wartburg community from Alliance is our commitment to helping students and communicating with them and building those connections, but also building connections with faculty and staff and all the professors. I think that's something really strong about our organization, is that we're not just focused on students. We love to get everyone on campus involved. And I think that's really important because professors have a lot to offer, just like students do.
Wartburg's community engagement librarian, Amy Stevenson, is amongst the staff members involved in Gala Week. Her presentation, entitled Reading Rainbow, bridged the gap between education and fun.
Just beyond these doors unlocks a catechism of creativity. So join us right here at Newman Auditorium at 7 p.m. on March 22nd. And don't forget to bring your ID. This has been Allison Hasner with Night Vision News.
For more information about Alliance and their end-of-the-year activities, please contact them directly via email at alliance@wartburg.edu.
The Wartburg College players recently staged A Flea in Her Ear, a classic French farce by Georges Feydeau. The play follows Raymond, who suspects that her husband is cheating on her when he suddenly loses interest in her. To catch her husband, Raymond and her friend, Lucienne, send Victor an anonymous love letter, inviting him to a notorious hotel. Unfortunately, their plan gets a little complicated when the letter is intercepted, leading to a series of misadventures, mistaken identities, wrongful accusations, and frantic chases. The performance received praise for its engaging storyline and the cast's talent, providing audiences with a night filled with laughter.
Stay with us after the commercial break as Joe Hansen takes a look at the athletic weight room and other Wartburg sports. Don't go away.
Discover more possibilities at Wartburg College. Explore your interests, pursue your passions, and gain the skills that lead to big opportunities. Carve your own path through rich hands-on experiences inside and outside the classroom. Our engaged faculty know you by name and go the extra mile. Study abroad, complete internships, and make meaningful connections that will last a lifetime. Make the switch to a school that offers more. Experience more at Wartburg College.
Welcome back to Night Vision News. I'm Joe Hansen. With the state-of-the-art equipment and cutting-edge technology, it's a hub for athletes looking to maximize their performance. Allie Parkhurst has more on this story.
In 2023, Wartburg alum Ethan Hayes returned to his alma mater to take over the newly renovated strength and conditioning program.
We did not have a full-time strength coach before I started in 2023, and so there was a pretty sharp adjustment period there where at one point, the coaches were just writing the programs for their student athletes if they didn't have somebody on staff that was a strength coach, or they weren't getting anything in here, and so they're kind of relying on the students to do it themselves.
Hayes believes there are many unique aspects of his program, starting with the Elite Form tracking system.
Most unique thing about Wartburg is we're the only Division III with the Elite Form technology we have in here, so that puts us up with the likes of like Ohio State, LSU, Texas, Alabama. I always say you can throw a dart in the top 25 of any sport and you're probably going to find an Elite Form team in there somewhere.
With a large intern class of 17 students, Hayes uses his position to invest in his students.
Just having that many hands on deck, even though they're not full-time, but just getting that experience for those students is a really, really big deal. I was fortunate to be an intern when I was here as a student, and so I want to be able to pass that experience on. One of the most memorable summers of my life was when I interned at the University of Tennessee, and I had a great experience there, and can't thank those people enough for how much they invested into me. And one of the coaches there told me, hey, now it's your turn to invest in the next generation of strength coaches.
Hayes prides himself in being a mentor to both his interns and athletes that he works with.
I try to be a sounding board for them, right? Like they came here to play a sport, most of the students I work with. They're not playing a sport when they're in here, and so this may be a way for them to kind of release a little bit. And so if that's something they need to do in here, I'm good with it. I try to keep my door open as much as possible, so if students need something, they can come in here and do that. I've got a drawer full of like granola bars and stuff in here, so if students need to come in and get a bite to eat, or if students want to just come in and hang out, I'm more than willing to do that as well.
Thank you, Allie, for the insightful report on the athletic weight room and its advanced features. Wartburg baseball is experiencing a season of growth and change under the leadership of head coach Casey Klunder. Jax Cadell has more on the impacts of Coach Klunder and the team.
Casey Klunder is nothing new to the sport of baseball. After coaching here in Waverly, Iowa for 15 years at Waverly Shell Rock High School, he made his way on to Pella, Iowa to coach at Central College for 2 years. Now making his way back to Waverly to now be the head coach for the Wartburg Knights. He's entering his second season looking to continue his success for his team.
Head coach Klunder spent most of his coaching career at the high school level. And while at first being surprised at the differences now being at the collegiate level, he has made the changes to be successful.
I've been surprised at how different, it is. Even my coaching style has changed a lot. When I was a high school coach, we taught a pretty risk-averse style, and Casey Stengel used to say that most ball games are lost, not won, and now we teach a more aggressive style. The competition's so good in the American Rivers Conference that we know we need to go out there and take wins away from other people.
Although his love for coaching baseball stays strong, the community at Wartburg College has made coaching here just that much better.
Wartburg has just been so welcoming to me and my family. Obviously, the community of Waverly we know really well, but even specifically the Wartburg community here has been so good. My wife works here now too, and my son loves spending time here in the W, and so it's just been awesome getting to know this side of Waverly as well.
Becoming a new head coach can be a difficult transition, but now into his second year as head coach at Wartburg, Coach Klender has quickly seen the differences of this year's season to last.
You could tell right away in the fall it was different. You could tell right when we got back in September and started practicing again that it was different, and not having to do all the things outside of baseball that were new too. Okay, here's where we put the baseballs, here's where we put the bats. All that stuff seemed to be, a smoother transition in year two than it was year one, and it's starting to be where the older guys understand it and can help the younger guys.
Now midway through the 2025 season, Coach Klender has his sights set on the success in the postseason.
I do hope we play our best baseball in May. That's been our goal since we started here in February, was getting better each and every week, taking the opportunities, whether that's a non-conference game, a conference game, a practice, a scrimmage, a weightlifting session, to continue to get better, because once you make the conference tournament, we know how hard that's going to be. The 6 best teams in the conference going head-to-head in the middle of May, and so you're going to need to be playing really good baseball at that time. We use every opportunity to learn from our mistakes and grow together as a team.
With Coach Klender, the Knights can now swing their way to success. Reporting for Night Vision News, I'm Jax Cadell.
With Coach Klender at the helm, the Wartburg Knights are ready for another strong finish to the season. Thank you, Jax, for the coverage on this story. The Wartburg softball team improved to 6-8 on the season after an impressive 3-1 performance in a 4-game stretch against the St. Benedict Bennies and the St. Catherine Wildcats. The Knights split the series with St. Benedict before sweeping St. Catherine. Freshman Bella Mulder shined, going 6 for 10 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs, while junior Jenna Wibenge dominated, going 4-9 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs and 4 walks over 4 games. The Knights returned to action Thursday night with a doubleheader against the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. The games will be held at Lions Field in Waverly, Iowa, with the first game starting at 3 p.m. and the second game at 5 p.m. Following that, the Knights will travel to the Illinois Wesleyan Tournament and face Illinois Wesleyan University, with the game scheduled to start at 10 a.m. on Saturday. The Wartburg's men's golf team recently wrapped up the Cougar Preview at Illinois Central College, held on March 22nd to 23rd. The Knights finished 9th overall, scoring 629 team points. 5 Wartburg golfers placed inside the top 50 in scoring, with standout performances from 5th-year Nick Leichenberg and freshman Duke Taylor. The Knights will next compete in their own spring invite on March 28th and 29th at the Prairie Links Golf Course. Meanwhile, the Wartburg women's golf team is beginning to close their 2024-25 season. The Knights started their spring season at the Wash U Spring Invite in St. Louis, Missouri, finishing 13th with a team score of 331. Senior Hannah Fangman led the team with an impressive score of 82. The Knights have 3 more meets to conclude their season, including the Wartburg Spring Invite on April 5th and 6th. They will close out their season with meets against Illinois Wesleyan University and St. Olaf College. Stay up to date with all our content by following us on Facebook and Instagram at Wartburg DJC and subscribing to us on YouTube at Night Vision News. Thanks for joining us today on Night Vision News. For Josephine Lunescus Broomhall and Landon Jepson, I'm Joe Hansen. Have a great week, everyone, and go Knights!